Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. This one is all about how I followed intermittent fasting for 3 whole years and then just stopped. So I stopped 3 months ago now, and in those 3 years of fasting I definitely learned a lot about eating and myself, and I've probably learned even more than that in the 3 months after stopping. So I'm going to tell you guys everything about my experience before, during, after, etc, etc. There's going to be some important stuff here, so listen up whichever side of the boat you're on. But first, take 2 seconds to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AshmayPT, and also give the video a thumbs up whilst you're at it. Okay, so first things first, we need to make sure that everybody is on the same page regarding what intermittent fasting actually is. Intermittent fasting is an eating protocol or structure. It's basically time restricted eating, where your food intake is separated into 2 windows, feeding and fasting. Your fasting window is always going to be the larger of the 2 windows, and this is a period of time where you don't consume any calories at all. This is usually going to be somewhere between 16 and 20 hours where you aren't eating anything. And then the rest of those hours in the day is going to be your feeding window, and that's where you eat all of your calorie intake within a compressed amount of time. There are a bunch of different reasons why people choose to follow intermittent fasting. There's literally so many different reasons, but I have a few very specific ones, so I'm going to tell you all about those now. So, why I started intermittent fasting, and also why I stuck to it for so long. 3 years, man. I started intermittent fasting for a few reasons. The main one being that at the time where I decided to start, I wasn't eating enough food. I was starving myself just to try and get lean, and that's hard. That's a hard thing to do. But with intermittent fasting, it's less hard. Because your food intake is compressed into a smaller window, you feel more satisfied from less food, which is great when you're starving yourself. So that's one of the main reasons why I started intermittent fasting way back when. Another reason is that, to be honest, it worked really well with my personal schedule at the time. For a long time, I was waking up at 6 AM, getting ready, going straight to the gym, training for an hour to an hour and a half, then driving from the gym to an office, working 9 till 5:30, and then driving home, maybe then working at another job in the evening. So I had a busy schedule, and intermittent fasting really worked around that, because I could get up in the morning and just go about my day up until lunchtime and not have to think about food at all. I didn't have to prepare anything, bring anything with me. It just made my day a lot easier. And honestly, the third reason that comes to mind is that I was in a relationship. And as you may or may not know, when you're in a relationship, you tend to eat out quite a lot. And because of that, intermittent fasting meant that I had more calories to play with when it came to eating out with my then girlfriend, which made it less of a stressful experience because it wasn't so hard to fit in what I was eating at restaurants to my macros and what I was trying to achieve at the time. Not that it should be stressful, but back then it was a stressful experience for me. Personally, I never really cared about all of these other supposed benefits of fasting, like growth hormone release in the fasted period, and cell autophagy, or gut health, or digestive issues. It was just about making a calorie deficit easier, because it was so hard at the time. Now, I know that none of this is that interesting or that revolutionary. Yeah, cool. I wasn't eating enough. I had a girlfriend. Cool story. But what happened when I stopped? That's where it gets interesting, I promise you. So, why I stopped fasting after 3 years. Just putting it out there to begin with, I think that intermittent fasting pretty much directly led me close to an eating disorder. The revelation and learning that you can go all day without eating any calories and then just binge eat all of your calories within one or two massive meals within an hour to 4 hours window and still see good results in terms of your appearance and your progression at the gym, it's kind of like rewarding you for this unhealthy eating pattern. And what that caused was that it led to me over time having a smaller and smaller and smaller eating window and a longer and longer and longer fasting window, so that I could get more and more food in at one go or within that small window. Like I said, when I first started intermittent fasting, it was because I was trying to cut down. It was when I was trying to get lean. But it turned out that I stopped using it for just that reason. When I was trying to bulk, I was eating 3,000 calories a day, and I was still trying to cram everything into a 4-hour window, which that's not a lot of time for 3,000 calories. It pretty much became a way for me to binge eat in a normalised and socially accepted way. And I really do think that this is something that just is not spoken about enough at all. Aside from all the potential eating disorder stuff though, there are other less serious reasons. Right now, at this moment in time, my personal goal is to pack on as much muscle, as much size as possible. And because of this, I've been reading a lot about maximising muscle protein synthesis, as that's what's going to help you build maximal muscle. And this leads me to talk about something called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is basically a way of saying that whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to find out, you will find information that confirms what you want to believe in. It confirms your bias. Because during my time intermittent fasting, I liked intermittent fasting, everything I was looking at, all of the research, all of the blogs, it was all just confirming my own bias towards intermittent fasting. I wasn't looking for something that countered my own beliefs. So when I realised this, and when I really wanted to maximise muscle protein synthesis, I went out there and I looked for things that were anti-intermittent fasting to get rid of that confirmation bias, and this was so important. It massively opened my eyes, and basically, no matter what anybody says, you cannot maximise muscle protein synthesis when you are intermittent fasting. There is no way to do it. So doing this was pretty much directly going to go against my current goals in life, which is not good. By spreading my calories throughout the day pretty much evenly, I could get far closer to maximising that muscle protein synthesis throughout the day, and therefore, in theory, I can build more muscle. Yes. And the third reason is that, to be honest, I was becoming very aware of the binge eating like tendencies that I was developing or had developed over the last 3 years, and I wanted to break that cycle. I didn't always want to be thinking about pushing back food as late into the day as possible. I didn't want to panic every time somebody said they wanted to go out for lunch with me or they wanted to go out for breakfast. I can't go out for breakfast. I'm a faster. No, it's not how your life should be. As my lifestyle and career was progressing, intermittent fasting no longer suited my schedule. It was actually working against it because of the hours that I was working now that I was a trainer and all of those kind of things. So for me, stopping intermittent fasting after those 3 years was also just an attempt to give myself a better relationship with food and better habits around eating. So what happened when I stopped intermittent fasting? To be honest, when I first stopped, I didn't know what to expect, but there was actually some pretty huge things that were really noticeable, which it surprised me, because if you've been in fitness for a while, you probably know that there aren't much things which happen. There's not much that happens like that. First thing was more of a realization. Because I had intermittent fasted for so long, that's all I could remember. You forget how it felt before that. So in that time, I'd convinced myself that I felt great on intermittent fasting and that the fasting wasn't affecting my training in the gym. Turns out I was wrong. Almost as soon as I stopped fasting, I got a better pump in the gym. I was stronger in the gym. I had more energy in the gym and in life. And in the evening, I had way less of a crazy ravenous appetite. Beforehand, I always trained fasted, and because of that, by the time I finished my workout, I was absolutely starving. I had to eat, and nobody should talk to me in that period between working out and eating because I was just so grumpy because I was so hangry. But literally as soon as I introduced just a small 300 calorie breakfast into my day an hour and a half before I trained, I wasn't even hungry after the workout anymore. So I went from ravenously moody to not really hungry, mate. And then when I did eat after the workout, because obviously I still had to, I didn't need anywhere near as much food in that post-workout meal to feel satisfied. When I was fasting, I always just thought that I had a crazy high appetite and that was just me as a person. Nope. Because I was fasting for such long periods of time, I always needed massive meals just to feel even slightly full or slightly satisfied. But by adding just that 300 calorie breakfast into my day, I literally halved the size of my lunch and felt more full and more satisfied, and I had less cravings throughout the rest of the day and went to bed feeling completely satisfied, and I was eating the same amount or less calories. What's more is that when I was fasting, I'd literally go to bed feeling a bit down because I knew that it would be another 18 odd hours until I got to eat some great tasting food again before I got to eat any food again because I was fasting all day long. But now I know when I go to bed that I've just eaten, and when I wake up I'm going to eat again, and I love what I eat. So that surprisingly took a lot of stress and food relationship stuff off my shoulders. It was great. In terms of workouts, now that I don't fast, I don't need pre-workout anymore. And for me, that's pretty big. That's pretty crazy. And aside from the way better pump I get in the gym by not training fasted, I also have a lot more energy and this kind of internal drive to grind through those last few really hard reps and those really hard sets. It's only been 3 months since I stopped fasting, like I said, but in that time, I've definitely built muscle, and I'm sure that a lot of that is due to being able to do more high quality volume in the gym because I'm actually feeding myself. So what am I doing now 3 months on from stopping fasting? Because surely that really shows what the whole outcome of this 3-year experiment is. And the honest to God truth is, I'm still not fasting. My relationship with food and my personal eating habits is noticeably better, a lot better. My gym progress is better, a lot better. I have more sustained energy throughout the day and I have less of a food focus, which is big for me. Now, I really do think way back when I started intermittent fasting that it was good for me at that time in my life because it did work around my schedule and it did help avoid a lot of potential stresses, but it very clearly and very obviously just got out of hand, just like a lot of things can if they're not kept at bay. So with this video, I'm really not saying that intermittent fasting is bad at all. Like, it's a really good tool to have in your back pocket for when you need it and when the circumstances are right. But you just need to be aware of the potential side effects and the potential dangers of following something like this and getting carried away over a long period of time. It's really hard not to get sucked into that confirmation bias, and it's a cycle because you don't realise all these small changes where your window slowly gets shorter, and it makes such a big difference over time from when you start fasting for 16 hours sounds like forever, and then suddenly it's 2.5 years later and you're fasting for 22 hours a day and you're excited about this binge eating meal you get to have, and it's completely socially acceptable. You need to be aware of it. So there you go. That is my completely honest experience of 3 years worth of intermittent fasting, and then stopping cold turkey. Honestly, I've never spoken about most of the stuff in this video to anybody, let alone put it out there on YouTube. So I'm opening up a lot here. So, you know, be nice in the comments, please. Please. I'd love to hear about your guys' experience around this topic, or answer any questions that you might have about potentially starting, or if you should stop, or if it's good for you. So put all of that in the comment section and I'll get right back to you. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, AshmayPT. Until the next video, see you later guys.